Welcome to Back in Time with your wonderful host, Maggie Norlander. Today we are talking about the worst jobs children could do in the Victorian era. Our first guest, Hudson Pede, will be talking about mule scavengers. Then we move on to Bryce Hill talking about chimney sweeps.
The Victorian era was weird. Child labor was at an all-time high. All the jobs were bad. They all had a high chance of injuries and even death. But I believe that being a mule scavenger is the worst. Like all jobs, injuries were common, but it gets way worse from there. If anything gets caught in the giant machine, it gets immediately ripped right off. Then you slowly try to crawl out of the machine, or you can't do anything. Through all the pain, you slowly die, or your body gets sucked into the machine immediately, and then everything gets just crushed a little bit. Also, you would spend all day in a factory. Not going outside can have terrible health effects. Finally, it develops psychological terrors. Crawling under giant running machines messes up your brain. It had major side effects on the mule scavengers that lived. In conclusion, the worst job to be was a mule scavenger because injuries and death rates were common. You spent all day in a factory, and it developed psychological terrors. If I had to rate this out of 8, I'd give it like a 6 or 7. 6, 7!
Thank you, Hudson Pede, for your talking about the sad life of a mule scavenger. Now we move on to Bryce Hill and the horrors of a chimney sweep.
Children from the Victorian era from a young age have an extremely high chance to not live that long. Of the 5 worst jobs that children had to do, I believe that being a chimney sweep is the worst one of them all. My first reason is that because of the developing eyes at that age, they had a chance to lose their sight. Another reason is that they have a high chance of getting cancer. This cancer is called from inhaling soot. Finally, you get no pay as well as you get tortured. They would light a fire beneath you to make you work faster. This concludes that being a chimney sweep is the worst.
And that was the worst jobs a Victorian child could do. Thank you to our guests, Hudson Pede and Bryce Hill, along with our listeners, for tuning in today, and a huge shout out to our tech specialist, Drew Quinn. This was the horrors of Victorian child labor. See you next time. Your host, Maggie Norlander, signing out.